Valentine's Day of all things, and I got to get into a knockdown, drag-out argument with one of my team members here on Team Gallagher. So I told Eric Hansen, I said, don't just bark at me about it. Let's bark at our listeners together and explain why you're all bent out of shape that the Attorney General, William Barr, had to tell Pierre Thomas at ABC News that the president is making his job tougher by tweeting about ongoing investigations. So, Eric, let's just rewind the clock a little bit. First of all, I don't appreciate being ambushed. I come down the hall and you start yelling at me about Bill Barr because I'm instinctively going to defend the president.
I do. I know that.
And I will, and I shall. But let me hear you repeat what you said about Bill Barr's comments to Pierre Thomas of ABC News yesterday that has just, been all over the media, a bombshell, big explosion. Why do you think Bill Barr, the AG, is correct?
Look, I think Bill Barr is 100% right. Trump has to stop tweeting, especially tweeting about things that could hurt him ultimately when he's talking about cases and court cases and all. When he tweets like that, the chances are very good. I'm not a lawyer, obviously.
Clearly.
But there's an excellent chance that he's hurting Roger Stone. Roger Stone may end up in jail longer because Trump is essentially interfering in the case.
Never going to happen. Now, let me just tell you why I respectfully disagree with you. And it's not just because I'm immediately having to rush to the president's defense. Because listen, I hear a lot of smart people. Mitch McConnell agreed with Bill Barr. I think Lindsey Graham did. Let me just point something out, Eric, and I'm serious. I think we need to put this, we need to make an analogy in the world outside the White House. You've worked for me for how many years?
21.
21 years you and I have come to this studio and done our best.
Right.
You are, honestly, we've got the best team. I mean, Lance Anderson, who's about half of that, right? 10, 12 years,
yeah,
something?
10, 12 years. 2008, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
So we've got loyal people. Pavlina, of course, is our soul. I mean, she runs the video stream. Derek Klingel, who we recently hired, who is just nailing it every day. Joey Hudson, of course, my longtime business associate, business manager. We have a great team, but I go to you. You're my go-to. You really are. You're the guy who's been here from the very beginning. So I want to ask you something, and I mean it. I'm dead serious.
Okay.
You and I have a public job.
Right.
You've worked for me over 20 years. Let's say you have a beef with me. Let's say there's something I'm doing that is making your job a little bit more difficult. Do you, A, come to me in a professional setting, privately, and say, hey, boss, I got an issue here. Can we sit down, Mike, and talk about your propensity to whatever? Or do you, B, call Pierre Thomas at ABC News and sit down with him and air your grievances with ABC News, which is hardly going to be sympathetic to your boss?
Well, that's fair. I mean, I probably would not, air my grievances to
really?
Yes. Listen,
Thank you.
Here's the thing, though.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
You're a reasonable person.
I hope.
Most of the time. But if I had a grievance with you, not that we would ever disagree on anything.
We disagree on everything.
We disagree. No, we disagree on different
politically, we
things.
agree on most things, but I mean, there's things that there's stuff that goes on. This is a hard show to do, and I'm not making fun here. This is complicated, and you're the guy that really does make the trains run. You're the guy that handles everything. The whole industry knows that when you need something done, you go to Eric Hansen. So I'm not saying anything to be critical of you, but we do have disagreements. You're never going to publicly air those disagreements.
No, my instinct, and I am being very honest when I say this, my instinct, if you were to do something that was going to cause a problem, my instinct is mostly to stand in front and try to protect your interests as much as I can.
And you do that with me, not
right.
against me.
What I think Bill Barr did, and I just can't imagine, because honestly, if you were tweeting something that was hurting the show, which I think is the best analogy.
Okay.
And I came to you and I said, look, Mike, you gotta stop.
You gotta stop.
This is hurting us.
Okay.
And you turned around and said, you know what? He's an idiot.
Right.
I'm going to keep doing it.
Okay.
And I'm going to step it up, and I'm going to make it even more outlandish.
But would you ever go to ABC News?
I would never do it publicly, but I might go to someone else and say, you got to help me out here.
So why does Bill Barr do it publicly? Why do these people have to run to the media? I'm sorry. I just don't understand it. Why would you ever, seriously, would you ever go to the media over a disagreement we had?
No, I would not.
Of course you wouldn't. And
nor
would I about any of you guys. We would deal with it internally, and it's just a mystery, and I don't understand Bill Barr's decision. Thank you, Eric Hansen, Director of Operations for Team Gallagher. And now let me turn it over to you. 1-800-655-MIKE. You heard both sides of this argument. If you don't know what we're talking about, here it is, cut 5 from ABC and Gravy, and this is what's got the media breathing into a paper bag and saying, aha! Once again, we're bringing Trump down.
I was under the impression that what was going to happen was very much that I had suggested.
Stop for a moment. Start over. He's talking about the sentencing guidelines for Roger Stone. So when he talks about the sentencing guidelines, that's what that's the first part of this, is that Pierre Thomas is asking him, what was your reaction to finding out that the prosecutors were recommending 7 to 9 years for Roger Stone?
I was under the impression that what was going to happen was very much what I had suggested, which is deferring to the judge and then pointing out various factors and circumstances. On Monday night, when I first saw the news reports, I said, gee, the news is spinning this. This is not what we were going to do.
So you were surprised?
I was very surprised. And once I confirmed that that's actually what we filed, I said that night to my staff that we had to get ready because we had to do something in the morning to amend that and clarify what our position was. I had made a decision that I thought was fair and reasonable in this particular case. And once the tweet occurred, the question is, well, now what do I do? And do you go forward with what you think is the right decision, or do you pull back because of the tweet? And that just sort of illustrates how disruptive these tweets can be. Yes, well, I have a problem with some of the tweets. I'm happy to say that, in fact, the president has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case. However, to have public statements and tweets made about the department, about our people in the department, our men and women here, about cases pending in the department, and about judges before whom we have cases, make it impossible for me to do my job and to assure the courts and the prosecutors in the department that we're doing our work with integrity.
I don't get it. You go talk to the boss. You don't go to ABC. I'm sorry. And now you see, you've heard two sides of this, with Eric graciously coming in to explain why he feels the way he feels.